Good evening. You're watching us live on YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I'm Afrida Rahman Ali. Singer and rapper Badshah has surprised his fans with a new lean look on Instagram. Now, he shared this clip, which has created a lot of buzz around whether he has taken the Ozempic route to reduce weight. So, we are going to, in fact, play out that clip for you where you will see a much leaner Badshah, and now there are, of course, questions being raised on how this was made possible. What exactly is the fitness regime that Badshah has undergone? There's a drastic weight loss. One can see it. It's visible. And of course, the singer is also has put out this video in order to display the fact that there has been a major weight loss. So, what I'm going to do now is introduce here on the program, joining us, Charan Panjwani, who is a nutrition and health coach. He's joining us live from Mumbai. Thank you, Mr. Panjwani, for joining us on Free Press Journal. I want to
Thank
begin
you.
by
Pleasure.
asking you if you've seen the latest images of Badshah. What do you make of it? It's quite a reduction in weight and in record time. And this is not the first time we have seen Mr. Ram Kapoor. We saw Karan Johar also in a way reduce a lot of weight. And now people are saying, is this Badshah or is this AP Dhillon? People are confused because clearly he was far more heavier than this. The question to you, Mr. Panjwani, is that a lot of people are speculating this is the Ozempic route that now Bollywood is taking. What is your view on whether celebrities are taking resort to such drugs for quick weight loss?
So, the truth is that this is not exactly a weight loss drug. It's actually a diabetes drug with a side effect of weight loss. But it's a quick fix, and everybody loves quick fixes, and we are used to getting results fast. And that's just the world we live in right now. And being in showbiz, it is all eyes on you. You got to just always look your best, be your best, and all of that stuff. And the pressure is real. So I wouldn't doubt the fact that many celebrities are using weight loss medication.
Mhm.
Also, the weight loss. So for a professional or a health, medical professional, it's very easy to tell whether a person has lost weight naturally or not, because there are certain
Okay.
very obvious signs to it, right?
Mhm.
Now, not
Okay.
speaking about Badshah in particular, or Mr. Ram Kapoor, or Oprah Winfrey, for example, or Karan Johar, or anybody for that matter.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
there is a certain sense of responsibility that I feel like these actors and celebrities have when it comes to talking about their weight loss. So if they've taken the medication and if they come out and they talk about the fact that, okay, I took it, but I took it under medical supervision, I did these lifestyle changes to make sure that I don't have any negative side effects of it, and that would be actually a more responsible way to do it, rather than
Hmm.
just coming and trying to make it look like they've done it all by themselves, because that's doing more harm than good to the general population. Today, if you have a fan following and a million followers, etc., so your voice has power, and what you're
Hmm.
putting out there, people are going to try to emulate it, right?
Yeah.
Coming to whether they are not or doing it, I think that most people are, and there is nothing wrong, and there's no judgment on what people are doing and why they're doing it. It's all about the
Yeah.
fact that
Absolutely. Yeah.
to not talk about it and to just
Hmm.
pretend as though they've done it all by themselves is doing more harm than good, is what I'm trying to say over here.
Interesting what you say because yes, the idea of doing this conversation is again to understand and to enlighten our viewers that while they might be under supervision of nutritionists, health coaches like you, it may not be advisable to fall into this trap of some miracle drug which suddenly does the rounds and everybody is talking about it. Rather, there must be a much more studied and observant approach towards it. Lot of people would want to reduce weight and lot of people would be struggling with weight issues. What would be your advice to how much they can go by these examples? Because you can't help it. People will go with these examples. People will study exactly did they do. and maybe even try to emulate. So, what would be the word of caution for such people?
So there's a screening process for a candidate who would qualify to take a drug like this or not. So
Okay.
primarily what happens is when I get clients who want to ask my advice and opinion on it. I explain the mechanism to them, and I explain the pros and cons, and I also explain how much weight can you lose naturally, and how much will this drug help you, and what will be the
Okay.
after effects of taking the drug, so that you have a complete holistic understanding of what you're getting into. See, losing
Mm,
weight is one part of the equation. What happens to your life after you have lost that weight is the bigger part of the equation, which most people are not looking at.
mm,
So
mm,
just to enlighten the viewers, whoever's tuned in right now, that how do these medications work, right? What is Ozempic? What
mm,
is Vigovi? What is Munjaro? These are GLP-1 agonists. What is GLP-1? Is glucagon-like peptide 1. And what it does is it basically promotes insulin secretion in our bodies, and it suppresses glucagon secretion, which is the balancing hormone for insulin. Secondly, it slows down gastric motility, which means the food takes much longer to pass through your GI tract than normal, which means you could go days without eating a proper meal and be okay.
mm,
The short
mm,
term side effects are generally not a big deterrent for many people because it's mainly GI related. You have nausea, you're vomiting, you might have some
mm,
constipation, you might have some diarrhea. But the long term side effects are what have not yet been studied. And it has possible effects of maybe some kind of autoimmune conditions, because at the end of the day you're playing around with your pancreas, you're playing around with your liver, your kidney, your thyroid gland. So all of these things are happening very willfully because that short term gain has become very alluring to many people. That being said, there is a certain population that could benefit from this drug for sure, because obesity is a very complex disease which is not being understood as a disease. People are looking at a person as being overweight or not being overweight or being a particular size, and that's where the whole judgment or the whole process that they adopt to lose the weight comes in. That I'm a few kgs overweight, I need to look a certain way. That's a very superficial way of looking at things, because obesity is so complex that some people are unable with just lifestyle intervention to be able to reverse that weight. There could be medical reasons, there could be
mm.
physiological reasons where you have issues with your functionality, physical functionality. There could be chronic diseases, comorbidities, where losing the weight in this manner would actually, the benefits will outweigh the risks. So we can tell, okay, please go to an endocrinologist, go to your cardiologist, get all the thorough checks done before you take this medication. And even then, this medication will always be given with a certain time frame in mind, which means we
Mm.
want to get off this medication as soon as possible. So,
Right.
to take it for a casual reason, like just to lose weight when you have been too lazy to try to actually do it yourself, is where
Mm.
the problem is, the bigger problem.
Do I understand you correctly then? Because I feel what you're definitely trying to say is that trying these shortcuts may not always be the best alternative. Your fitness regime, your health, your food regime, your exercise should be your primary, lifestyle option rather than going straight to these routes, which in most cases, let's hope and let's understand, are also done under medical supervision. But am I getting you right that you're trying to say that let's first fix your lifestyle with that proper, health regime, which includes diet and exercise, and there can be no shortcut to that, or there cannot be a quick fix alternative to that. And if at all you take that quick fix, there's a price to pay.
Exactly, exactly. So the diet and the lifestyle will have to be taken care of irrespective of whether you're taking the medication or not. Look at the
Mm,
medication as at best a kickstart or just a initial boost to get you to lose some amount of weight. But even then, the lifestyle and the diet is something that will sustain that weight loss without having. So you cannot just adopt a new lifestyle overnight. it takes some work. And if you want to avoid that work by taking medication, you're going to more often than not fail miserably. You have to learn to first manage your diet and your lifestyle well, exercise, do some strength training, get the right amount of protein, get the right amount of calories, learn how to, thrive within that framework. And then, if at all you want to lose a little bit more fat, or for whatever, even the showbiz, I understand they have pressures to look a certain way. If you want to do it for that reason, it's okay. But to be able to, because what happens is that when you take this kind of medication, you are also losing a lot of lean body mass. You are losing a lot of muscle. There's something known as Ozempic face. I don't know if you've heard about it, but basically, because you lose so much muscle, your face starts looking different, right? Because even the facial muscle tissue is lost, and you cannot get that back. So
Yeah.
you probably look older than your age if you lose weight in that way. And losing muscle is a terrible thing for your overall metabolic health. um, as it is, human beings lose muscle after the age of 35 at the rate of 6 to 8% a decade. They're actively losing muscle without doing anything. So it becomes doubly important for us to do everything in our power to retain and build more muscle. So instead of losing fat, if people start thinking about their, instead of losing weight, sorry, if people start thinking about their body composition in terms of fat mass and lean body mass, I think they would be able to make better choices.
I found it interesting what you just said that there is an Ozempic phase. Again, do I understand you correctly that there is a phase where you see a healthy weight loss, and there is a phase where you know that something drastic is being done. So, as an expert,
100%.
as a nutrition coach, can you tell us how you can tell an Ozempic phase from somebody who has lost weight the healthy way?
So without getting myself into any trouble, I'm not going to name anyone. But if the person looks healthy, it'll show on the face, right? If it's unnatural weight loss, you can tell. It doesn't take, like, you can tell who has had some kind of fillers or Botox. You can tell that, right? So you can tell a naturally well aged person or a fit and healthy person versus a person who has done something cosmetic or like based on a drug to lose that weight. Now, why did I talk about the face? Is because it's the most obvious in your face, in front of your eyes. You can see it that this person is
Yeah.
not looking healthy, right? You can look thin, but being thin, or being, sorry to use these words which may be controversial, but being fat or being thin is not a measure for your health. Today, you can have a little excess body fat but be medically fit and healthy. And you can be actually thin but be underweight and be metabolically and medically unfit. The number of people who have diabetes who are underweight is not
Yeah.
small, right? So, being healthy and fit have there's no direct correlation to size. Yes,
Yeah.
obviously, a person who's of an ideal body weight will be more likely to be healthy, but
Mm.
it does not mean that just because you're a little overweight or a little over fat that you're not healthy and fit. So people have just stopped thinking beyond the appearance, and this is all because of, obviously, we've talked about this before. It's the Instagram, social media, constantly in people's eyes. So you have to, your
Yeah.
motivations are very external. Your motivations are not coming from what will be good for me. It's like what's going to look good.
That's so important, and I hope that message just goes across when you said think beyond just the appearance and beyond the judgments, and think, for
Yeah.
yourself in terms of what is the more sustainable way of being healthy, rather than falling into these fads. But I do want to ask you, since this may be slightly outside your domain, but since you brought it up, I want you as an expert to tell us that when you hit a certain age, there's also a certain desperation because I know as a woman in my 40s, I know how it feels.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have the youthful charm slipping away, and you want to like hold on to it with dear life. So, do you think a lot of it has got to do with how people fail to accept aging in a graceful way?
So, aging, when we talk about the biological age, okay, obviously we cannot directly control it, but we can definitely influence it. There is something known as reverse aging or aging well. For that, you have to understand what changes are happening, especially since you spoke about women. Women have a bigger challenge than men because you have a whole biological function that slows down as you
Mm.
approach your mid 40s and 50s, right?
Yeah.
Now, there is very little research and very little awareness of what women should be doing at that age. Because
Mm.
when you're perimenopausal or when you're menopausal, you are going through a drastic shift just like you did when you achieved puberty. So it is the opposite of that. So can you imagine the amount of changes that your body has to go through?
Yeah.
But still, there are women who are trying to lose weight,
Mm.
and when you're trying to lose weight and you're under eating at a stage when you should be actually feeding yourself well and lifting weights and taking the right amount of supplements and taking care of yourself a little more, you are actually torturing yourself a little more by trying to want to lose weight, right? So that's where the problem, the desperation comes, because the measures that people take are not scientific. The
Mm.
measures that people take are all emotional. They're all looking for a quick fix. They want to look good by a certain date for a certain event, because that's the age when you're, hosting parties, you're going on holidays, you're socializing a lot more, and you're at a certain stage in life. So then when you don't do things with a balanced and a scientific way, that's when most likely people fall for these quick fixes. So as a nutrition coach, my focus is always on explaining the science and then giving you a sustainable pattern that works for you long term. And that's the one area where I feel like we need more and more people to come in, because the traditional nutritionist and trainer thing doesn't work anymore. The trainer will train you, the nutritionist will give you a plan, and that's it. So the day you go out and you've had a few drinks or you've eaten something and your scale goes up, the next day you're like, okay, I need to do something to get out of this mess. And then that's where the lure of medication comes in.
Mhm. One couple of last questions actually. One, of course, would be that clearly, from again what you said, what I understand is that there must be a commitment to good health and fitness. It cannot
Yeah.
be a quick fix, to use your word. And if you're trying to escape that commitment, it will not hold you in good stead, because how much can you even depend on a artificially created drug, if at all there is such a miracle drug? In conclusion, I want you to tell us, if somebody wants to be on a weight loss regime, what are the things to avoid? What are the things to be wary of that don't fall for A, B, or C? And what is the sort of commitment you think one should have?
So great question. Firstly, I will end with one point about Ozempic. Please remind me in case I forget. But answering your question, when it comes to weight loss, or when it comes to, as I said, you have to look at fat loss first of all. Change the dialogue in your head. You're not looking to lose weight. You're looking to lose fat. Now, if you want to
Yeah.
lose fat, you have to not fall for anyone who's trying to sell you an ingredient based diet or a macro based diet saying that go off carbs, go off sugar, go off this, go off that. No one who tries to sell you a supplement telling you that, okay, having this particular supplement will help you, because none of that works. Anything extreme will never work. It has to be sustainable, which means if you're going to bed feeling unhappy, then you're doing something wrong. When you're trying to lose weight, you're not supposed to be unhappy. You're supposed to be well fed. Now, to eat well, you can go back to the drawing board. You find out how many calories you need to be eating for losing weight, and then you draw up a meal plan that's well balanced within those calorie numbers without missing any food group, and start eating that way for at least 2 weeks before you decide whether this plan is working or not. Because fat loss, unlike weight loss, does not happen overnight. It takes a week to 2 weeks for you to actually find out whether you're in a calorie deficit or not. Once you find that out, then you can keep going along that road by moving more, lifting weights, making sure you're getting the right amount of protein, having fruits and vegetables, being smart about things, avoiding saturated fats, trans fats, uh, you know, eating more close to natural food, basically not overcooking your food, not using too much of oil and stuff. These are the basic things that work. Now, they are packaged in many, many, many different ways and sold, because otherwise, what's the USP, right? Everybody needs to have a hook. but the science is very simple. The magic is in the monotony of things. And if you try to find,
What a great line. Yeah.
yeah, so you have to be
Routine
okay
and
with being
regimen
bored.
is boring. Routine is boring. Doing something consistently may be boring, but then that is the healthier
That's where
way.
the magic happens. Yeah.
That's when the magic happens. You were going to say one last thing about Ozempic.
Yeah. So the downside of losing weight with drugs like Ozempic is that when you are on Ozempic or on Wegovy or Munjaro, your appetite is so low that you're unable to eat even a basic amount of food, which means your training, even if you're trying to lift weights, will not really be great. You will lose your appetite for 4 days in a week, maybe depending on the dose, because it takes about a
Yeah.
month or so to just adjust the dose. You will lose
Mhm.
your appetite, which means you'll, and food is happiness, no? I mean, how can you not want to eat? And if you have to just give up on eating, or the will of wanting to eat food, or the ability to eat food, that's a really sad thing. But physiologically speaking, when you
Mhm.
lose weight on Ozempic, you will tend to lose more muscle. The more muscle you lose, the lower your metabolism, your metabolic capacity, which means you will always be diminishing the amount you can eat. So let's say before Ozempic, you were a person who was able to eat 2000 calories or 2200 calories a day. Maybe after Ozempic, you will be at a much worse off position where you will not be able to eat more than 1500 calories a day, which means you're not only losing weight, you're losing your access to eating well for the rest of your life. Because then when you
Mhm.
start eating more, your body is going to start storing more fat. So it's a vicious circle.
Wow, that's so interesting and it's also very enlightening. In fact, right at the beginning, you helped us break this myth that Ozempic is actually not a weight loss drug. It's actually a diabetic drug, if I heard you correctly.
Yes.
And
Yes.
now the point that you made about how, when you try to subvert the natural system, again, there's a price to pay. I mean, then either
Yes.
you reconcile to the fact that you're playing with your body, you're playing with natural processes. So the choice is completely yours. You want to go the healthy way, the natural way, or you want to somehow find a way to game your system, as it were, you know,
Yeah. You either
with
look
something.
good for the next 2 years, or you want to feel good and look good for the next 20. The
Hmm.
methodology that you adopt will definitely decide these two things.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Panjwani. It was a great pleasure talking to you and
Thank you for
understanding
having
from
me.
you the dynamics around Ozempic and what we should be careful. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm going to play out some pictures of Badshah, who actually sparked off this controversy. And this is particularly the Instagram post which has sparked off this debate about whether Badshah is on an Ozempic drug. So there is, of course, a drastic weight loss. This is from Badshah's Instagram post, which we are playing out right now. And we wanted to clarify about this, and therefore the idea was to have experts tell us what exactly is it that works, to have this sort of an instant weight loss. And you just heard that there is a healthy way, and there are these sort of shortcuts, quick fixes, and there is a fallout. There is, of course, something in terms of a price to pay if you want that quick fix. There are people who have certain compulsions to look a certain way, and they may be also doing it under medical supervision. There should be no judgment of anybody's personal choice. That's very clear. But pictures of AP Dhillon is playing because Badshah is now being compared to Canadian Indian singer AP Dhillon. And he's also being compared to Ram Kapoor, again, someone who lost a lot of weight within a very short period of time. And yes, so obviously it's natural for people to raise these questions that whether there is a miracle drug, whether there is a weight loss drug that celebrities take recourse to. And I did ask Mr. Panjwani about the sort of desperation that people get caught in after a certain age to hold on to youth and beauty. And but there is a healthy way of doing it. And what he also said is there is an Ozempic face, which one can tell, just like you can tell when somebody has undergone a Botox treatment. There is an obsession with weight loss. Let's face it. Let's be very clear. And in many celebrities, non-celebrities as well. And the danger is that we often try to follow and emulate the celebs, and we may fall into the wrong trap. So I leave you with these pictures. Thanks very much for watching.
दस मार्च को जो हम ड्रॉप कर रहे हैं वो ये है, और हमने सोचा था इसकी फ़ोटोज़ खींचेंगे अच्छी अच्छी, हमने खींची लेकिन मज़ा नहीं आया। तो ये है भाई, बहुत ही सेक्सी टैंक टॉप है। ये नहीं है, ये इनर है, ठंड से बचने के लिए सिर्फ ये है। 24/7 365 10th मार्च एक्सक्लूसिव बैड फिट। लेट्स गो। वो ये है, और हमने सोचा था इसकी फ़ोटोज़ खींचेंगे अच्छी अच्छी, हमने खींची लेकिन मज़ा नहीं आया। तो ये है भाई, बहुत ही सेक्सी टैंक टॉप है। ये नहीं है, ये इनर है, ठंड से बचने के लिए सिर्फ ये है। 24/7 365 10th मार्च एक्सक्लूसिव बैड फिट। लेट्स गो।